guys, welcome back to my channel. Nello here. We made it to episode 2 on YouTube this week. I'm super excited to be here. So today we're going to be talking about breaking into tech in 2024. It's a crazy job market. A lot is happening. And I know a lot of you follow me because you want to break into tech. So let's talk about it real quickly. Okay, so if you're new here, I did a very high level introduction in the first video. If you haven't seen that video, go ahead and check that. Reiterate what I said in that video. I am a tech influencer with over 90,000 people in my community on Instagram. I am now here on YouTube and I am excited to be growing and learning on this platform. So welcome, join the community as we kind of navigate this together. Okay, so breaking into tech in 2024, what has changed so far? I definitely think that a lot of companies are prioritizing AI. And so what I think is that a lot of the funding is beginning to go towards AI. And so there's just a lot of shifts happening in the industry right now, which is normal and which happens with life and everything in general. So if you're breaking into tech or you are already in tech, adaptability is one of the very thing that is key to continue to survive in this industry. You have to learn to adapt. Okay, things change quickly. But we saw how COVID came and everybody had to work from home. We saw how COVID ended and people had to become hybrid. Some people are still remote. It just depends on your industry, your company, its values. You know, things change. You have to just learn to adapt and move on. So if you're not able to adapt, breaking into tech is not even something you should consider at all. Number 2, upskilling. You're going to upskill a whole lot. Like the climate is changing. They're getting rid of things that they don't need. AI is going to make work obviously more easy. So you want to obviously make sure that you're positioning yourself in a role where that is still high in demand, a role that you can still make high pay, which might mean learning some of the really high demand skills. Some of the skills that I know that are still high in demand is tech sales will always be high in demand because people are always going to want to sell regardless. All companies sell because they need money. How do they make money? Sales. Marketing is another really good one when it comes to like working in tech. I think security is a field that has a lot of job security right now because the internet is continuously growing and companies need to make sure that they are keeping their data secure. So security is definitely one field that you can consider. I would say data because data continues to grow as well and they would continue to navigate it. But obviously, like there's a lot of granularity when it comes to like working in data roles. So you want to make sure that you're positioning yourself even as you work in a data role, because I work in data. You have to make sure that you're positioning yourself for success and making sure that the way you position yourself is in a good way that you can actually make like good career progression. It's very easy to get to drown in like the data domain. The data space is very vast. It's a whole world on its own. Okay, so that's going to be another conversation for another day. Some of the key things that I would keep in mind as I break into tech in 2024, and let me reiterate the steps that I would take if I was breaking into tech in 2024. Let's do it. Also, I want to say that if you already follow me on Instagram, I do have a series where I talk about like the 4 steps for breaking into tech on Instagram. You can go and check that out. If you don't already, that's okay. Let's walk through them again in this video. So the first thing that I would do obviously is to figure out what I want to do. Now, this is the hardest part in my opinion. And the reason this is difficult is because there's so much to do. Tech is quite broad. You can do security, you can do engineering, you can do sales, it's quite broad. Okay, so you have to figure out what you want to do. Now, there's so many quizzes online from the people that I talk to that I have recommended for people. You can take quizzes, you can kind of figure out what you have done and what it closely relates to in the industry, so your switch or your transition is easy. So you just need to play around with things to figure out, okay, what part of tech would I work in? Another thing that I want to throw in for people who are actually trying to navigate what aspect of tech to break into is that you need to actually think about longevity as you break into tech. A lot of people prioritize the high paying roles, but if you want to do it long term, you have to act in that you can tolerate. Okay, personally, I love data. I love to code, but I'm outgrowing it, and I don't want to do it as much as I wanted to do it when I was younger. So I actually don't know if I like that I chose a very technical role, because I find that as I'm getting older, I don't want to spend so much time staring at my computer. I want to do other things, and being in a very technical role doesn't really allow me to do that. So one thing that I would say is, as you pick what you want to do, make sure that it's something that you can do, you enjoy doing, and you see yourself doing long term. Not necessarily because of the amount of money that it pays. If money is your priority, though, and you see yourself doing that for only a short period of time, then by all means, go ahead and pick whatever role that you do think pays the highest. But again, your values, where you are, these are like certain things that you should kind of consider for you to make a decision on what role you want to break into. Okay, so now you've made a decision on what role you want to break into. The next step is definitely to learn the skills. Now, there are many ways that you can learn. The first way, you can learn the traditional way, go to a college, get a degree. That works as well. You can learn with boot camps. You can become a self-taught person. Now, the bootcamp way is also one that works. You just have to make sure that you find a really great bootcamp that has really great recommendations and that you trust, and that they will deliver and that they will hold your hand. There's a lot of fraudulent bootcamps out there. So just please make sure that you do your due diligence before you actually give anybody your money. Self-taught is going to be the hardest, but some people do actually succeed by self-teaching themselves. I am one of them. Okay. Now, it was the hardest thing I did. Self-teaching is not easy, but if you have the discipline, you have the community, you have the support, by all means, you can go ahead and teach yourself the skills that you need. Now, the self-taught people often struggle the most as well, because there might be gaps. So even if you learn the skills yourself and you have all these projects that you've worked on, I highly recommend working with a resume expert or a career coach that can teach you how to present yourself on your resume, that can help you with branding on your LinkedIn, that can help you to show up in the interview process. Now, why do I say this? Now, when you're interviewing, it's a different ball game. And I talk about this a little bit on TikTok. Interviewing is different, okay? Especially if you haven't done a tech interview before. It typically has like multiple stages. You could do like the first round, which is the recruiter round. And then you might maybe meet with like the team. You can do a technical round, and then maybe meet with like the directors or like other like higher C-suite people on the team that you're going to work on. So it just really depends on like the company and how they interview. There's going to also, I would also recommend like a lot of additional research before you interview. But before you even get into the parts where you're interviewing, the resume expert or the career coach that you work with is going to teach you how to market yourself. In these job markets, you have to be active. You have to be going to networking events. You have to be actively applying. You have to be screaming on every social media platform. And I recommend this heavily. What you're bringing into the market. You have to talk about the skill sets that you have. You have to scream about the projects that you've worked on. Nobody will market yourself but you. So talk about the things you've done. Talk about the skills you have. Talk about your accomplishments. Put it everywhere on Instagram, LinkedIn. You never know where you're going to find your job from. So I highly recommend making sure that you're selling yourself the minute you finish your bootcamp, the minute you finish learning, whatever it is that you do want to learn to help you succeed. Talk about it until you get your job. Now, the interview process, obviously, if you work with a coach, they would help you, hold your hand. After that, you move into negotiating your salary. This is very crucial. I've seen people sign on as much as 75,000. I've seen people sign as little as 5,000. I've seen people take an offer without a sign on. Make sure you do your research to find out what is on the table that you're leaving. And this is why you should work with an expert. Make sure you know what is available on the table so you don't leave anything on the table. If you don't have the knowledge on your options when it comes to negotiating, then you leave money on the table. If you have offers, you can, if you have multiple offers, you can use that as a bargaining chip. There are many ways to negotiate, but if you work with an expert, you're going to have guidance there. So I know there are a lot of people that have like negotiation templates. There are people that have like resume templates that they sell. There are so many career coaches that offer like things like this. I do not. But if you know that you need these things, make sure you work with someone who's an expert. That's what I would recommend. So after you have negotiated and you have your offer, you have signed it, you have signed your offer. This is the last and the most important part. Do not stop learning. Do not stop upskilling. Now, a lot of people make the mistake. They get the job, they think the work is done, they relax. No, that's when the work just starts, because now you have to learn how to navigate your colleagues. You have to learn how to navigate your boss. You have to learn how to navigate the company. You have to learn how to navigate so many things. The work just begins when you actually get the job. So that's the biggest thing that you can take away from this video if you're looking to break into tech in 2024. When you do break in, just brace yourself because the work just started. That's how I would go about it in 2024. The job market is really terrible. Everyone's complaining about it, but you're resilient, so do not stop. There's one thing that my really good friend John Oamen always tells me. He says, if there is one job opening out there, Nello, and I'm in the job market, I'm going to get that job. So I want you to go into the job market, if you are in the job market, with that mindset of, regardless of how bad this job market is, my job is out here and I'm going to get it. Okay. So yeah, that's how I would navigate breaking into tech in 2024. I hope you guys found my tips helpful. I'm super excited to be on YouTube. We're gonna have so much fun on YouTube, guys. I have so much planned for you guys. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button if you haven't hit the button just yet. And yeah, if you have any video recommendations on what you want to see regarding tech, data analytics, AI, anything, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section, and I'm happy to make videos with whatever topic you do tell me to. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the very next video. Bye!